So it's not just about increasing the computing power, that there are some fundamental ways in which we are thinking about how that computing power is being interacted with and leveraged, that we can get more bang out of the buck than
Yeah,
was being done with more just a simple model of here's what it is, now add more power to it.
yeah, and it doesn't come free. Nothing comes free in this in technology, right? So for every thousand programmers who can write Python code, there are probably 10 to 15 who fundamentally understand how CUDA works and can use it effectively, not just call a library and hope for the best. And of those 10 or 15, there's probably two who understand PTX, which is the low level programming environment that DeepSeek used to get the performance out of an otherwise subpar GPU. So the population of people who can make things go really fast is very small.
Mm. So that is sounds like it's an opportunity for people to develop those skills or who have those skills to be highly leveraged in terms of their employability.
Yes, the challenge and the proprietary foundation labs in the US don't really talk about how they do this stuff. I mean, the papers they publish hint at a few things, but the impression they give you is that they'd rather throw dollars at hardware than do very complex and difficult to validate low-level programming. We're pretty sure that the Chinese would be willing to take the other path and train a lot more people in how to do it. That would be culturally very difficult here in the United States.
Why? Why do you think that is?
We don't turn out enough people in the 1,000 class, let
Right,
alone in the
right,
two.
correct. Long been a theme of mine.
Yeah, and I wonder, when I had a real job, one of the things I used to tell people was that you should never make success dependent on skills you don't have or can't get. And the road that the DeepSeek folks took really depends on skills which are very hard to get and most people can't.
So, so given that, um, what is the way that I guess how I'm sorry I'm saying this in a jumbled fashion, but given that reality, how can we best address that here in this country? Because
Use what works.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Use what works.
Use what works.
Right? What we know how to do a whole bunch of things that don't require those kinds of specific skills because we've got a lot of compute resources.
Yeah.
So, we are not banning people from buying NVIDIA GPUs in the United States. So we're probably going to have to go down the scale laws route for at least a while. But DeepSeek open sourced almost everything. We actually don't have a complete view of what the training data was, but we do know what the weights that go into the model are, and you can tweak them. You can, in fact, debias the be good about China stuff relatively easily, because you can go in and you can look at the model at where information is stored in the parametric view of the model, and you can tweak the way that information gets stored so that the answers come back more as you would expect a Western model to deliver them. So we can probably learn a lot from the DeepSeek experience that will improve the efficiency with which our training strategies work, both pre-training and post-training. But the truth is that none of that's got anything to do with how inference works. The really interesting thing about DeepSeek, which none of the foundation models did, was it tells you how it gets to your answer. And so you can look at it and see what the chain of thought model it's using is and how it's moving around between the mixture of experts environment. And you can think about whether there are ways you can basically replicate the entire thing. I mean, I have the source code for the model running on one of my other computers, and you can think about how you could alter what's essentially a processing pipeline for specific situations to get better answers cheaper. Because at the end of the day, Jevons paradox says if a lot of people come and use it, it will get cheaper to use because we'll get economies of scale effects. But the first step in that is it's got to be easy to use.